Yo, what's up everybody? Jumping here. And I finally platinumed Monster Hunter World. And let me tell you, I didn't actually think I was going to do it. I had no plans initially to do it once I found out on how hard the trophies were to get. But I got so close to getting the platinum, I decided, you know what? I'm going to actually try to do it. And I did. And it was a nightmare. Okay, it really was a nightmare. There's no doubt about it. This is probably the hardest game I've ever platinumed in terms of just the amount of work it took to actually get the platinum. So don't expect this to be easy if you're going to try to get the platinum. There's a lot of things you have to do, and there's a lot of RNG involved, which is probably the biggest downside to it. But I really just want to talk about two trophies in this game because they are definitely the hardest trophies to get. Are achievements if you're on Xbox. They are tough. And that is going to be the gold crown trophies. There's two of them. You have to get all the gold crowns for the giant monsters and for the miniature monsters. And it will take you a long time to do this. Now, there are a couple things you can do to make it easier on yourself, but I have seen on the internet a lot of people asking questions about it, wanting to know, is there any like super secret that you can use to help get the crowns? Now, first things first, I'm going to answer that. No, a lot of it is RNG, but there are a couple things that I did notice as I was doing it that did help, and I will share these tips in this video. Now, the first thing I do want to say, you definitely want to use a build that is going to kill the monsters quick. The build I used for most of it was my Charge Blade build, and this build worked wonders. This build can pretty much annihilate almost every monster in the game super quickly. This is an updated build of the one I showed in my video, so if you watch that and you like this build, then this is my new version of it I've been rocking. If you want to check out that video because maybe you can't mimic this version, you don't have the stuff for it, I have other versions of it that are easier to mimic, but this build absolutely destroyed everything. I was able to kill pretty much every monster in the game in under 5 minutes, most of them in under 2 minutes with this build. That helps a lot because obviously you want to kill the monsters as quick as you can to just move on. You don't always have to kill the monsters to get the gold crown, okay? You just don't always have to kill them because you might be able to tell if it's large or if it's small, and if it doesn't look large or small, you can just back out and try again. But a lot of times you might be unsure. You just don't know. And if you just don't know and you think maybe it's possible it's a crown, always kill the monster. So that's my first tip. Always kill the monster if you think it could be a crown. Because there was a lot of times where I thought it could be a crown, but I wasn't sure, and I killed it anyway, and it was a crown. And I definitely lucked out because it's really annoying. There's no doubt about it. Now, the main thing I always see people asking, what are the conditions of the quest? Like, what was your conditions when you got the crown? Let me tell you something. I personally don't think the conditions really matter. I think the rewards matter more. And what I mean by this is, let's say you have a one faint quest, and because it's a one faint quest, you have 2 gold rewards, 2 silver rewards at the end. That's a much better quest to do because of the rewards than, let's say, a 3 fainter that doesn't have the same type of rewards. But there's also quests that will have 1 feint, but it has 2 bronze rewards and 2 gold rewards. Now, from my experience, those quests sucked. I never got a crown ever from a quest that had 2 bronzes and 2 gold. Every crown I pretty much got always came from quests that had silvers and golds. And the conditions never really mattered that much. As long as it had silvers and golds, that's what mattered from what I noticed. So if it was a 2 feint, if it was a 15-minute, 30-minute, 2-player, whatever it was, if it had more rewards that were silver and gold, it seemed like there was a much better chance of getting the crown from those quests. And you do want to run through all of them. You don't want to just do a little bit of one and then move on to another one. No, finish it. Just go through it. You never know. Sometimes you might get the gold crown on the very last one. It does happen. Now, I just want to quickly go through my list here and let you just see some of my kills. You can actually primarily pay attention to the kills and the captures for a lot of these monsters, and some were a lot harder than others. And there's a reason for this and why some are like this. Now, some might be random just because they're common monsters and I fight them all the time through tempered quest or just from random hunts. A lot of people are always doing these monsters, so those monsters don't really count. Like the Elder Dragons is a prime example. I kill a lot of Elder Dragons with tempered quests, so I don't really count them in terms of the crown hunting. But a lot of monsters I never kill from just doing random quests. I never kill them. Like, for example, Great Jagras. I don't kill this guy. Like, I don't ever have to go and kill him. Maybe I need some materials from him to make a weapon or something, but that's it. So the other kills primarily all came from me trying to get the crown. So keep that in mind. Now the thing is that if I was ever unsure if the monster was small or large, I would always kill the monster. So a lot of these kills came from that. Okay, a lot of times I would quit out if I was pretty confident the monster was not small or was not large. But if I was ever unsure myself, I always killed it. And a lot of times that did come into play. Like, I would get the crown. So I was happy I did that. Now, when it comes to determining if the monster is small or large, that's a big question people have. And I wish there was videos on YouTube right now that could really show you every monster. So hopefully someone will make that video. I really think that would be great. But when I did this, there was no video like that. But there were videos of people killing the small monsters and large monsters for the crowns. And some of those videos, they would look at the monster and they wouldn't tell you what they're looking at. It would be nice to know, like, what are you looking at? Like, what should I be looking for on this monster to tell if it's large or small? And you just didn't know what they were looking at exactly. And there was other times where they would just fight the monsters. Like, it was just random. They just got the crown and they uploaded it to YouTube or whatever. But you can use those videos until someone finally does make a video which will show you pretty much every monster and what you should look for on that monster to determine if it's the miniature crown or the giant crown. You can still use videos of people fighting those monsters that you're trying to hunt and get the crown for, and you can actually determine in those videos what you're looking for. That's what I did. I would watch the video and I would pay really close attention to the monster. I would pause the video if I needed to, and I would always look at the player model versus the monster model and try to find a spot on that monster that I could really tell. So sometimes it was the shoulder, sometimes it might have been the tail, sometimes it was the head or the body, but I would always find a spot on the monster where I could kind of tell. And if the body was, let's say, smaller than the head of my player model, it was the miniature, or if it was larger than the head, it was the giant crown. And that was always a way to tell. So I definitely would recommend doing that. Whatever you're hunting, look up a video. Even if the person's not telling you what they're looking for, look yourself. Really pay attention and try to find a spot on the monster that you can really tell, okay, if I see one of those monsters and I'm hunting it, I'm going to always go and look at the shoulder. If the shoulder is this big, I know it's the big one, or if it's this small, I know it's the small one. That's a really good trick to use to help you find the crowns. It helped a load for me, so I definitely recommend that. But the main thing I would say, do the events. Okay, do the events. Because if you actually are going to sit here and try to get a lot of these monsters without the event, you're going to be in a world of trouble. Because let me tell you, it took forever for me to actually do this. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, for 3 weeks they were putting up events. The first one was the Ancient Forest, then it was the Wildspire Waste, and then it was the Coral Highland. And in those events, they had like all the monsters in that area, and you had a much better chance of getting crowns. Now, I didn't actually farm those. I only farmed the Coral Highland one. I wish I would have farmed the Ancient Forest one. I wish I would have farmed the Wildspire Waste one. But when those events come back, do those events. Farm the crap out of them. Try to get all the crowns of all the monsters in those areas. That is your best bet. That is your absolute easiest way to get the crowns. And that's what I would primarily recommend. Okay, so I would not recommend speed rushing through it like I did to try to get all of them. There's no point to do that. You can always come back, even if you're not playing the game that much. You still want the platinum, but you're just not playing the game that much. Just come back for the events. Hopefully they will give us a Rotten Vale one, and they will give us an Elder Recess one, because they have now stopped giving us the events, which is very disappointing. So I hope they will give us these events, and they'll give it to us every week. But that's your best bet of getting all the crowns. And if you do follow that logic, all you have to actually do is get the Black Diablos crowns and all the Elder crowns. That's all you need at that point. Because the rest of the monsters should be in the events, and you should be able to get the crowns through the events. So that's what I would primarily recommend to people. I'll be honest with you, because it was such a headache for me to get all these crowns that I thought I was going crazy. And by the time I was done, I was kind of done with the game. I really felt that way. I was just so drained, and I was just not wanting to play Monster Hunter anymore because I just spent all this time trying to get all these crowns. In the end, I only needed 5 monsters. That was it. Just 5 monsters, and they all were coming from the Rotten Vale and the Elder Recess. And I was hoping that the events would come to let me finish. The events didn't come though. They didn't actually give us the Rotten Vale, and I was super pissed. I was really mad when they didn't give us that event. So I actually decided, okay, well, I'm going to go and grind out the rest of these. These are the ones I'm definitely going to go and get. Because, like I said, I didn't actually grind out the Ancient Forest or the Wildspire Waste. So actually, I did have to go and grind these ones out before that. So there was like several monsters like Toby and Anjanath. I needed to actually get these crowns. And as you can see, when it comes to Anjanath, oh my god, he took forever to get all the crowns. And I knew what I was looking for. I really did study the video to determine which one was the smallest one, because that's all I needed. I needed the smallest crown. And there were so many times where I was certain that it was the smallest one, and it wasn't. Some monsters are just really hard to tell. Toby was another one. Very hard to tell if he's the small or the large one. I don't know what it was. I just couldn't tell. So I ended up killing him and capturing him a bunch just because I was never sure. And it took me forever to get his crowns. But that was just the way it was. And like I said, in the end, I only needed 5 monsters. That was it. And I was waiting for the events. The events never came. So I decided to grind those monsters out. It took me a week and like 50-something hours to get the 5 monsters done. So if I was just doing the event, it would have been so much better. I definitely would recommend the event. That's your best bet to get most of these monsters. And some of the monsters are just super annoying, like the lava fish. This was an absolute nightmare to get his crowns. I needed both his crowns too. Oh my god. Here's the deal. Some monsters, if they have armor, if you have the Mind's Eye decoration, use it. It will help you a lot. And I used it on the lava fish, and it definitely made killing him a lot better. But he is definitely one of the stupidest monsters in the entire game just because he takes so long to die. Like, it would always take me like at least 5 minutes to kill him. And that was normally really good because a lot of times it might take 10 or 12 minutes to kill him just because you're never doing that much damage to him because he's got all this armor and it's just super annoying. So definitely lava fish is a nightmare, and there's a lot of monsters that are just nightmares like Diablos. Now this is interesting with Diablos if you actually look at the kills and the captures I have on him. The thing is, I killed him a lot just from playing the game, doing tempered quests, just pretty much just doing quests to get his horns or whatever it might have been. And I never cared about the crowns. I was missing the largest crown on him. I finally got it one day when I was doing a quest with one of my friends. But then when I actually looked at it, I realized, oh my god, I killed him so many times. And this is legit. I have not killed him since I got that large crown. And I wasn't ever really trying to get the large crown, but it took me that many kills and that many captures to finally get both of the crowns on Diablos. I mean, that's crazy. He's definitely my most killed monster, I believe. I think he's my most killed monster. I could be wrong. But yeah, it's really crazy. So the RNG on these crowns is ridiculous. And a lot of these monsters, I already said this, I got the gold crowns just from playing the game. Like Pink Rathian was one of them. Basil was one of them. And the Rathalos, both of them, I got them done just from playing the game and doing temper quests and things like that. So they were never a problem. But Diablos, I couldn't believe that I killed him that many times and I didn't get the crown. And finally I got the crown on that final kill. And I haven't killed him since. So that really goes to show on how some of these monsters are ridiculous and some of them aren't. It really just comes down to RNG. But my main recommendation is wait for the events. It will save you a lot of heartache if you do, because it is very annoying getting these crowns if you decide that you're going to go and get them. And if you are determined to go and get them through investigations and stuff like that, definitely look for the ones with the good rewards. Don't care so much about the conditions, because even if it has, like, let's say 2 faints or 3 faints, it's fine. As long as you have silver rewards and gold rewards, that's what I always notice. Almost every one of these crowns, I don't think I got a single one with bronze rewards. If you do have, let's say, 1 bronze, 1 silver, and 2 golds, that's probably okay. But the main thing I did notice is that I was always getting the crowns from silver and gold rewards. It happened about 95% of the time. So those are definitely the investigations I would be looking for. Tempered also helps. It seems like I got a lot of my crowns from Tempered. I'm saying that primarily just because a lot of these monsters that I already had the crowns for, I got them from just doing Tempered quests. So I definitely think that doing Tempered quests will also help you get the crowns potentially, but I'm not certain. So don't quote me exactly. I just know that silver and gold rewards definitely help a lot. So that's my best recommendation to you for getting all the crowns. It's not easy. There's no real secret to it. You just have to put a lot of work into it, and you have to grind. And if you do all that, you should get all the crowns eventually. But it's still a freaking nightmare. So that's going to pretty much do it for the video, guys. I really hope that it has helped and that you have enjoyed it. If you have, will you please like the video for me? Be sure to subscribe. And I really do hope that everyone has a very nice day. And peace out.